Hi everybody, thank you for joining us today. Welcome to the Tierra Bonita Elementary School Reopening Plan.
Hello everybody, it's Michelle Ward, your Tierra Bonita principal. Thank you for joining me today. We'll be going over the Tierra Bonita site reopening plan that was shared with you on Monday. And we won't be going into all the nitty-gritty details. Those I'll let you read on your own time, but we'll definitely kind of focus on the big picture items. But if you have any further questions, there is a Q&A form that's available on the website that was sent to you on Monday morning as well. It was texted and emailed to you. Also, if you still have questions, even after you get the FAQs from your questions, you're more than welcome to join me on Thursday during your grade level time to ask more questions. I also have an office hour available on Friday morning. If something else comes up and you have a quick question you want to ask me, my email is always available too, so feel free to email me, which is located on the bottom of the website that was shared with you on Monday. And is also on our POSD Tierra Bonita website as well. So hopefully I can answer all of your questions. I'm going to do the best that I can and provide you with the best information so you can make the best decision for your kids. So I know that this is a really hard time right now, and I know it's really hard for all of us, and I know it's even harder for some of us. And I'll tell you, as a parent, as a mom, it is a really hard time. And I know that the information that we're getting is changing constantly, which does not help make us feel any better. But I'm going to try and get you the information as quickly and as updated as possible. So thank you for your flexibility with the constant change in information. Thank you for your patience in waiting for this. And thank you for your understanding and that I'm giving you as much as I can from as much as is being provided to me. Okay? So let's go ahead and get started. But before we do, I just want to say that I'm going to try and keep this really positive because it's already been so hard. So why do we need to make it harder? So I just want you to know that I miss you all so much and I miss your littles. And I'm so sorry that the time that you get to spend with me for my first 2 years has been like this. I am trying to figure all this out, and I wish it didn't have to be this way, and I am looking forward to that glorious, glorious day when we are all on campus together and it's normal. So looking forward to that. So let's go through this presentation. You probably will still have questions at the end, and if you do, feel free to reach out to me anytime. And so let's get started.
Okay, so thank you to our families and staff members again, and a special thank you to our essential workers and our first responders for keeping our community safe and working so hard, especially during this time with all the COVID-19 cases. So a special thank you to all of them. Okay, so our commitments. So we are working with the district office to make sure that all of our safety protocols are in place, and we have the necessary safety equipment that we need for both our staff and students. Also, teachers are working on curriculum for our virtual learning to make sure that this experience is different from what you had in March. So we want to make sure that the virtual learning curriculum is robust and rigorous, as well as the on-campus learning if we are on campus. So we want to just make sure that this experience is the best possible experience during this time. So also we're looking to continue to work with our school community and be collaborative with our staff as well. We are listening to you, and we want to make sure that we are hearing what you are saying. So I know some of the answers that you are getting on the FAQs aren't solid and concrete, but there is some flexibility that we want to have in there, because based on our numbers, whatever those numbers might be from the parent survey, we want to be able to be flexible and to be able to work with you. We don't want to have to say that students are going to come on campus, stay in the classroom all day and go home. We want to be able to work with families and our students and our staff to be able to say, hey, well, maybe we can have a rotation where some kids are, out on the field or out on the playground and not being in their classroom all, the whole time that they're on campus. So we want to have that flexibility, and we want to work with all of you to make sure that this is the best experience as possible. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, so why are we in this current situation? Well, it's because we are on a monitoring list. The governor of California had sent out a mandate stating that until our county is off of the monitoring list for 14 consecutive days, schools cannot reopen. So our superintendent and the district office are doing a tremendous job. They are sending out various surveys, or had sent out various surveys to parents. And what they are hearing is that parents want to be back on campus. Students want to be back on campus. So, and because of that, she has pushed out our start date to September 2nd in hope, with hope that we will be able to actually start school and be on campus on September 2nd. Now, if we are not off of that monitoring list, we will all be virtually learning, but that date has been pushed out, so we are hopeful that we can all be on campus. So, of course, if we're not off of that monitoring list, we're all virtually learning. And I know that there has been some conversations about a waiver. So basically, my understanding and what has been shared with principals is that the state of California hasn't really established a criteria for how to get that waiver. Okay, so that waiver would have to be applied for by the superintendent, but what that criteria actually is, we don't know. But what we do know is that that would have to be in collaboration with both labor groups and parent groups in order for that waiver to go through. But what all that criteria is yet, we don't know. I know the district office is looking into that now, because that has been something that parents have brought up. Okay, so basically that's where we are right now. And I also wanted to speak to, because the date has been pushed out to September 2nd, I know there's been some communication and I had responded incorrectly on our FAQ, so I corrected that. Is that because the date has been pushed out, there will be some adjustments on the calendar, but what those are, we don't know yet, and that has to be negotiated with our labor groups. So that's where we are with that and with our calendar dates. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, our safety protocols. So Poway has been very proactive in this area. They have been ordering safety equipment, safety supplies, masks, shields, desk guards, or barriers for the desks, masks for both staff and students, plastic, clear plastic kind of barriers for the office as well, for our office staff. Also different types of cleaners and cleaning products. So that is something that the custodial staff has been working on and with our facilities department. And also, as staff start to come back on campus, we'll make sure that they are trained and they are aware of what those safety protocols are as well. We also want to work closely with our parents because we do want to be informed if a student does have COVID-19, just like we do with any communicable disease that students might get. And those are any virus that they might get that is highly contagious. And you probably remember this. And if you're a new parent, you won't know this, but like if a student has lice, we'll probably send out like a letter to like the whole class that the student not we wouldn't identify the students, of course, but we would let everybody know that they were exposed to lice. So, for example, with COVID-19, we might send a letter home just letting parents know that there might have been some exposure to COVID-19, so be aware of the symptoms and what they are. And those are available on my website. So that was sent to you on Monday. So that is on the TBES COVID-19 information page. So we're hoping that parents will be monitoring that, let us know, and be in communication with us because we want to make sure that we're keeping everybody safe and healthy. So temperature checks, staff before they come in will definitely be getting their temperature checks before the start of the day. And students will also be getting their temperature checked as well. What that looks like yet, we're not quite sure. And the reason why is because we are waiting on those numbers from your survey results and to see what it would look like. And we've been discussing like different ways. So myself and the staff have been discussing different ways that we would take temperatures, whether it was like in the traffic line or whether we would have stations. We want to try and keep it as private as possible too, and have social distancing. So we're kind of talking about that right now and coming up with different plans, but it's really dependent upon what those numbers look like. So once we figure that out, we can solidify what that plan would look like better and share that out to families. So masks. So my understanding with the San Diego health orders are that third grade and up students would be wearing masks, and students that are under third grade would not be. But parents are always, if you're more comfortable and you want your student at school and you want them to be wearing a mask, we would definitely support you in that effort if they're younger than third grade. At this current moment in time, volunteers are not permitted on campus, and that's across the district for all sites right now. So, of course, we want to keep it as well contained and secure and keeping everybody healthy and safe. We want to make sure that nobody else is on campus that doesn't need to be at this time. So volunteers are not permitted on campus. But of course, we're looking at it to be a phased approach as things lighten up to be able to have volunteers back on campus because we love our volunteers. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, so this is our contingency plan, and I want to make sure that I'm being really clear with this and walk this through carefully. So I've done this about 3 times, so I'm hoping that this time will be golden. So hopefully I can get you all the information you need with this. So the parent survey is going out. We are going to get our numbers back. If we find out that our numbers are really high for students to be on campus, then we will start with our contingency plan. So also what I'm hearing is that the numbers that are coming in are pretty high for the district. So it sounds like we probably will be starting the year with this contingency plan if school is to reopen on September 2nd. So now what that would mean is we are looking at full numbers for every single class, so whatever that might be. So if it's kinder through third, it would be 26, 4-5 would be 33 students. So if we're doing that, we would want to split those numbers. So if we had a 4-5 class that had 33 kids in it, we would want half of that class to be in session 1 and half of that class to be in session 2. So how would we decide what students go to what session? We're not quite sure yet. There has been discussion of an alpha split, but I know we have a lot of combos like our 4-5 teams. It might be easier to just do a 4-5 split, so those students could all stay together, but that is something that is under discussion at this time. So nothing solid yet on that, but those are some conversations that we are having. So that is what that contingency session 1 and session 2 would be for, is to be able to break up those numbers so we can practice social distancing. So social distancing would have to occur within the classroom. So kids would have to be separated within the classroom as much as possible, 6 feet apart, 6 feet apart from the teacher as well. So we would try to do that as much as possible within the classroom, and definitely between cohorts. And when I'm saying cohorts, I'm saying classroom to classroom. So one teacher would need to be, teacher A would have to stay separated from teacher B for the entire instructional day. Okay, so being able to have that split will give us the opportunity to make sure all those health orders are in place. Now, in the morning, if you're starting in session 1, we would like the students to come to school as close to the start day as possible. And then you would have that kind of morning break transition time. They can be working on something or talking with the teacher about something. So we would have that 7:45, 8 o'clock morning break transition time. And we're looking for students to go straight to their classroom. And 8 o'clock to 10:30 would be their instruction time, and then they would leave at 10:30. Before they left, they would be given their grab and go lunch. We would take lunch counts in the morning, and then after taking the lunch count, it would be delivered to the cafeteria, and then all the lunches are grab and go bagged lunches, so we would have those delivered to each of the classrooms so students can just take them and leave right at the end of dismissal. So we're still kind of working on how we're going to stagger that dismissal a little bit. So, but I'll go into that in the next slide here. So once they're home, they'll have 1 to 2 hours of self-paced home learning created and provided by the teacher. And then between 10:30 and 11:30, when teachers are going to lunch, that might also be a time where students are coming in and they are picking up a grab and go lunch, and we're talking about if where we have kind of a designated area for them to eat where they can be 6 feet apart if they can't do it in the cafeteria. So we're kind of having that discussion. We might have some students there, but if we don't have enough room in order for that 6 feet apart social distancing, we're talking about that right now as well. But we want students to be able to grab a lunch and eat it. They can finish up, and then from 11:30 to 11:45 would be their afternoon break transition as they're coming into class, and then 11:45 to 2:15 would be their instruction time, and then they would leave at 2:15. Their self-paced home learning time will be before they came to school at 11:30. So that is essentially where we are with the contingency plan. And again, it is looking more and more like we will be starting with the contingency plan if we are to head back to school, because our numbers are leaning in that direction at this time. So the other good news to that piece is that our teachers at Terra Bonita will be the ones that would be on campus, of course, and our teachers at Terra Bonita will also be the teachers that will be providing the virtual learning. So, we are still, their survey also closes this week, and we will need to look at those numbers as well. So, we are hoping that we can keep it to our teachers and our students. But if there are a lot of open spots on campus, or we have too many students and not enough teachers, we will have to look at other schools within our region and have to maybe move students to another school. So that might happen. I'm hoping it won't, but it's really dependent on how many teachers we have on campus, how many virtual learning teachers we have, and how many students are virtual learning versus on campus. So I hope that was clear. So I'm just going to say it one more time, just as a quick review. So if we have not enough teachers on campus and we have a lot of students on campus, then we have most of our teachers are virtual learning teachers, and then a neighboring school has the opposite. So we might have to work with another school site to support our numbers and support their numbers. So if they have a lot of on-campus teachers and not enough virtual learning teachers, then we might have to kind of share with them. So that might happen. So that is a possibility. It is great news that we were able to keep our site teachers for both on campus and virtual learning, but dependent upon those numbers, we're hoping that our Tierra Bonita students will stay with their Tierra Bonita teachers, but it really depends on what those survey results might look like. So I hope that was clear, and if it's not, I hope you can jump in with me tomorrow during your grade level time. That Zoom information will go to you tonight. So if you can jump in if you have more questions, feel free to come in during that time, or fill out the FAQ form that's provided for you on the TBES COVID-19 information page. I will also have a morning office hour on Friday morning, and I will share that Zoom information as well on Thursday evening. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Okay, so recess and lunch. So that again will be dependent on our commitment numbers and what that will look like. Here are some various ideas that my leadership team and I have been talking about. So eating in recess in the classroom is something that definitely has been talked about, or in designated areas. That recess time in that contingency plan would be that 15 minutes, because the majority of the other time is for instruction. So it might be just that 15 minutes as they transition in. Okay. So for eating times, if during that second, so during this session 2, I'm sorry, I misspoke. So right before session 2, during this time while students are eating between 10:30 and 11:30, we might need them to be eating in the classroom. So that is one idea or option. And we would use other staff to help supervise. But we are looking at other designated areas as well for students to eat if they wanted to eat on campus. Students can definitely eat at home before they come in as well, so that's definitely an option. And then our third idea is maybe a rotation or use of the playground and of the cafeteria area for those first 15 minutes. So that's something that we are kind of talking about as well. So arrival and dismissal procedures are really dependent on our commitment numbers. So what will that look like? So if it's based on that contingency plan, it'll be a little bit easier because our numbers will be a lot smaller because of the two separate sessions. We're looking at various ways, and I think I said this earlier, that we might have stations to take temperatures, or we might do it in the traffic line. The numbers are really small. We could probably do that fairly quickly. So if a student does need to go home because their temperature is 100 degrees or above, then they can just remain in the car and just take off. So we're looking at various ways to do that. We definitely are worried about the traffic congestions on Tierra Bonita Road, so that's something that we are thinking about. For dismissal, we're trying to figure that one out. That one's a little bit harder. We were, discussing possibly like using a walkie to call for students, but we're not sure if that would be such a good way to do that. We're also talking about having different spots for our classes to be outside and be waiting. So that might be the way that we would handle dismissal as well. So that's something that we're currently talking about and trying to figure that one out as well. But that too, again, will be dependent upon what our commitment numbers will be. Okay, so for special education services, and this is information that is in the plan. So the students on an IEP, all the related services that are documented within their IEP, they will be receiving, and we're going to be working closely with our special ed staff and to make sure that we are supporting all our students in special ed. Excuse me. And also, there has been some information that has come out tonight, what's from our special ed department at the district office, sharing some FAQs and various some more information that might be valuable to our families. So I will also be attaching that information in an email to you. So you'll either probably get it with this presentation or before that. So if take a look at all those documents and that information that has gone out to you. If you have more questions about that, I'm looking possibly next week maybe to hold an informational meeting on Zoom for parents that have questions around special education services. Okay, next slide. Okay, so virtual learning, and I know I've talked about this one already. So virtual learning, the Virtual Learning Academy, if you are signing up to do that, will be it will be from our Tierra Bonita teachers. Again, we're waiting. Their survey will also be completed this week, so we'll find out what teachers are going to be virtual learning teachers and which teachers will be on campus. So hopefully those numbers will match really well with what the commitment numbers from families are. So we can support families, our Tierra Bonita families. But again, like I stated earlier, that might not work out perfectly. So I do want everybody to be aware of that. And that might be the piece that you needed to hear in order to make your decisions about where you were going or what you're doing for this coming school year. So I want to just let everybody know that there are teachers working on the VLA curriculum. It is going to look different. I know you probably saw the virtual learning schedule that was in the Poway Unified School District reopening guidebook, and the hours were from like 45 minutes to 4 hours of screen time. So now that really is going to vary for each grade level, and that is something that they're working on, and that is a guide that teachers will be using. So, you know, I don't want like kinder teachers to be like, oh my gosh, my kid's going to be on the screen for 4 hours, because that's not what that's going to look like. You know, it will be applicable to that grade. So, and it will also look very different from how it looked in March. So, you know, they're working really hard on it, making sure that it's robust and that it is a rigorous program for our families. Now, if families are looking to sign up for the Learning Academy, and they stay with virtual learning, and they decide that they don't want to be in virtual learning anymore um, mid-year, then they will have the option to come back on campus. But it does depend on what room we have in the classes that are on campus. So if you decide to come back and there isn't room, you might have to go to a different site. So that one is a little tricky because we don't know. We might even have some families at that time that decide to go to virtual learning because of their circumstances or something like that, or go to the homeschool option as well. So if and that's another one too, if families are homeschooling and decide to come back on campus, it does depend on what those numbers are. My understanding is that you will receive another survey mid-year, sharing about if your preference is still virtual learning or if your preference is to be on campus. Also, something to consider too is we don't know what it's going to look like at that time. So it might be that we're all still virtual learning, or that we all get to come on campus. Fingers crossed. I'm hoping we will be, but I don't know what that will look like. But if you do pick virtual learning, and you would like to come back mid-year, or you're homeschooling and you would like to come back mid-year, it would depend on what our numbers look like on campus in order for you to come back. So there is a chance that there might not be a spot at Tierra Bonita. Also, with the homeschooling, it does follow the PUSD curriculum, as well as the virtual learning will as well. So, you know, it's going to be standards based, and with the homeschooling, it's more of a check-in with a teacher, like a case manager that would be kind of monitoring your learning. But a lot of the homeschooling will be done at home with families. Okay. All right. So let's think that is the last slide, and here's my little ending video.
Okay, so that's all the information I have for you today. If you have more questions, feel free to check out the website and click on the various buttons for the information that you might be seeking. If your questions still are not answered, feel free to join me on Thursday morning. I will be sending out the Zoom information the night before, and I am going to also have an office hour Friday morning, as I stated at the beginning of this presentation, and I'm looking forward to seeing all of you. I want to say thank you for all that you are doing and navigating through all this with me. I appreciate all of you. I miss you. Please stay happy and healthy for the rest of the summer and for the rest of the year, and I can't wait till everything is the way it's supposed to be. So I will talk to you soon.
Okay, so this is a link to the information page. I will be sending that in a s'more as well, because I'm not really sure if you could actually click on this video, but You can try to, I guess. Actually, why don't I try so then you can actually see maybe what it looks like. So this is the COVID-19 information page. It was sent to you in a text, and it was also sent to your email. So this has all the information that has been linked to the various communications that have been sent to you from me or the district office. My email is also at the bottom. And this is all the various county and state links. The COVID-19 symptoms button is right here. So if you click on that, it will have that information. And all the information from PUSD and from me, and I will also link the new special ed information that has come available to you as well. So that's everything. I'm sorry that was so long, and if you still have questions, please fill out the TBS FAQ form, or I will see you on Thursday morning or Friday morning.